which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. John?
Here.
Ron?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
Troy's here. Dale is coming, but he texted me and told me he's going to be a little bit late. Any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Let's see now. Not me.
I had Samantha make a couple of minor changes this morning, but nothing substantial.
Move to approve the agenda.
Been moved by Sean to approve the agenda as presented. Is a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we've got two sets of minutes. Let's start with May 19th. That American Legion Memorial, it's not really an American Legion Memorial. I think it should say Griggs County Centennial Memorial. Is that not correct, Connie?
Suppose, I don't know what it is. I guess I haven't even gone and looked at it again after you mentioned it.
It was put up in 1989. The North Dakota Centennial logo is on the base of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then on one side, it has a whole bunch of names of community leaders throughout the course of time in Griggs County. The other side does have a bunch of names of veterans on there from the from the different wars. But I think it in its entirety, I think it's a Griggs County Centennial Memorial memorializing community leaders and veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I think is how that was. And of course, I wasn't there because I moved to Cooperstown in 1992. But any additions or corrections other than that one?
Not me.
I move to approve the May 19th minutes as presented with the aforementioned change and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the minutes as amended. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the special meeting from June 1st.
Yeah, I guess it's concrete and the rockscaping. They're not really doing any planting grass or any, it says concrete and landscaping. Probably
Oh,
rockscaping is really the extent of the landscaping. Yeah, it just changes to rockscaping, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Just on that on the first line in that paragraph. And then landscaping changed to rockscaping.
Yeah, I think that would be good enough.
Okay, anything else?
No, otherwise, I'd move to approve the minutes for the June 1st meeting as modified and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Ron to approve the June 1st Commissioners meeting minutes as amended and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll move into the bills.
Yeah, that's, and you may have something to add to it. The check for Brock Brand, did Samantha talk to you about that?
Yes.
And she said,
She had not put in the budget amount, so that's why there's a negative balance.
yeah,
So
so it really isn't.
it really isn't a negative balance.
Yeah, for Brock Brand, it shows a negative
Correct.
30,000, but Samantha didn't put in the budget item for it, so it's really not negative.
I
Correct.
see.
And it should go to the new courthouse, right?
Well, we had $100,000 in for the concrete work I sent the page, it was like page B23 or something. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, B23. The budget had 100,000 in for it, I think.
Yeah, concrete, it was under courtroom grant.
I'm not sure why it was in it exactly. It seems unusual looking back at it, but that's what it was anyway.
Well, that was, wait a minute, that was in the,
Wasn't that in 17?
yeah, but that was for the 2016 expenditures.
Oh,
We
I
moved,
thought it was in, oh, was it? Okay, I missed.
remember, then we transferred it forward into 17, I think it went to,
Oh, it could have. That would make sense that we would have transferred it. And I gotta get my book down there. I think my book is still in the old courthouse.
What page did you say? B one?
Probably in your drawer.
Maybe B23.
no,
Well, B23, John said was for 2016.
Courtroom grant.
And there's 100,000 in that, I think.
There's $100,000 line item in here for concrete, and it said expected expenditures in 2016, but we didn't get it
I
done.
didn't see it there. Okay. Yeah, I thought that was I thought I was looking at 2017, so I apologize. But, so where it is in 2017, I didn't look. But,
I would imagine it's in the EOC grant,
that could be.
C11, I think.
It must have been somewhere, if Samantha said she just forgot to type it in.
Okay, so the $17,000 is we used up in 17 on the EOC grant, and then it was moved forward to the courtroom grant, and that was where the remainder of the funds were remaining.
What was it?
We closed out the EOC grant, and the remainder of the funds were in the courtroom grant,
Okay.
and where did it move after that? Well, we'll find out and let you know where it comes out of.
the only item that I questioned on the other.
Garrison Diversion's got a negative balance.
I noticed all these ones like the library, the hospital,
Oh.
and all those
Sure.
set mill ones are always running, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like I questioned that once, and
Yeah.
there was some explanation why they're all
Yeah,
kind
I
of
remember.
negative. It didn't make much sense.
They become less negative as the tax revenues. How much is it negative?
Some of them are quick.
Well, the whole mill down there, $19,093.
You know, in the CMC district, it shows a negative 181.
Which report are you looking at the expense report or the income report?
Well, I was looking at these invoices.
The
Invoice.
invoice report.
I know, but what did you take that off? What did you take the
Oh,
balances off of?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
If you're looking at the expense, it will be negative, but if it's an income and expense report, then it should reflect the true balance.
Right. Any questions on the bills?
I'd move to approve the bills as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Hold off the vote a minute. Okay, so the the courtroom grant was transferred out of the courtroom grant, transferred into the general fund.
Oh,
Oh, sure.
It wasn't done right.
well,
Because in general expenses on page 15, it shows the transfer in amount requested, and it shows it in the reserve. It doesn't show it. It doesn't show up anywhere else. And we always ran a $170,000 reserve in the general fund, and this would have been in addition to that.
yeah, I think so.
But it shows it on page B6, line 72 and 73. Line 65. We'll have to investigate that. Transfers in and out, and it's at line 74, 170,911.27. Pages B24 and B25.
Yeah, that whole thing might be a little messed up. Because one of those pages was the social security fund and stuff, wasn't it? think we did that, but on the other page, I don't know, I didn't know if we'd done any of those transfers.
Yeah, the totals of it should be, B24 and B25 equal the 170,519. $170,911, excuse me.
Okay, and B24, was that?
B24 was a county loan, Social Security, Information Technology Insurance Reserve.
And then B25,
Was the flood 2000, the flood, just straight flood in C13, the flood 2009, the R-tax, the chemical hazard, the alcohol monitoring.
and it seemed like, I was questioning if we had made those transfers just by some other report showing the balance. It didn't look like the transfers had been made, but,
No, they appear to have been made in they appear to have been made in the budget, but I don't think it's reflective in the software.
yeah, it needs further investigation, I agree.
Because the general fund, if that is the case, that would have transferred to that reserve. The reserve would have started out with a $370,000 balance rather than $170,000.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Because we did levy the $170,000 for, we budgeted $170,000 for a reserve plus this went in there. I think it's just possible that those numbers look so similar that there was a mistake made, because it's $170,911.27 is the amount of the transfers, and $170,000 was the amount of the reserve. So we should have been at $340,911.27 rather than $170,000.
But if it wasn't done, those balances should still be in those other accounts.
Well, that's what I kind of think, yeah.
But there's no cohesion between the budget and GovernSoft. That's what we've always complained about. So it takes two different entries in order to change that.
I know, I get that.
Yeah.
But if that wasn't done in GovernSoft, then those balances should still be in the original funds because it was never transferred. Which should have been done on 12/31, right? Maybe it don't.
Whatever version we decide to do this, actually they should have been to zero, and it should have been back into the general treasury of the county.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, another reason to
Take a look at it.
upgrade. And I don't mean software. I mean, or the way that the commission does this. I think we need to upgrade the budget process a little bit.
Okay. Anything else? John?
No, that's it. Now we can finish the vote. Aye.
Ron? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Monthly office reports. Since Tim Wallery is our weed officer, I asked Samantha to get him set up with an email for the county. Hopefully he's an email guy. Because once in a while I get something from the state and they don't know to give it to him. Like the tag funds right now that are available in the county. I didn't have any way to get that to him, so I forwarded it to Amanda or Samantha and asked her to mail them. If people want cost share on chemical and stuff. So I don't know where we're at there. And then the website's got a bunch of mistakes on it. She said she's been trying to get Travis motivated.
I've been working on that. And she did get to set up with a email in.
Oh, she did? Oh, good.
So that process is going.
Cool.
What kind of mistakes on the website?
Well, there's people on there that aren't employed by the county anymore, and there's, you know, stuff like that.
Travis needs motivation.
Well, part of the problem was that I think he wants the auditor's office to make some of those changes, and I don't think he'd given them adequate credentials, so they couldn't make the changes. And I think Samantha was waiting for him to either you come and fix the website or give me more access to the website so I can do it.
Okay.
One of those deals.
Is that the way it works?
Yeah, and I think training also, that I don't think he's given you any training on how to update it. So.
Oh, well, that's a little not unfair.
Yeah.
Well, we can motivate them. We can deny payment next time we see a check come that needs to be written to them.
Yeah.
One today.
That's the way it usually works. I don't know. On the daily cash balance sheet, Connie, is the county CD, is that $12,000 one, is that the one that we were talking about
Yes.
reimbursing? Okay.
What's the trust mean? It says CD trust.
CD trust. That's what we called it at the time we put it on the ballot.
Oh, it's not really a trust.
No.
Okay.
It's just a name.
So did we authorize that being returned?
We did not. We didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
So Jamie looked into it, and what he'd indicated to me in an email earlier this week is that the estate's been settled, and it is to go into like a Evers trust, and Donna is the beneficiary of the trust.
And we're not actually gonna cash it out, we're just going to just
Transfer it.
our name, we're just gonna take the county's name on and put her as ownership, correct?
Yep. Because it's not due.
Right.
So what I told Jamie is, I don't know what bank it's in, Citizens. If she's not already a customer there, she'll have to go in there and set up, take her driver's license in there and get.
I know Jamie's been researching this, so he has stuff to talk to you guys about.
Is he going to be here today? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
He had court this morning, but he was coming.
Okay.
today, he said.
So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I guess we're talking about the monthly office reports anyway. We don't need to deal with that right now.
No, but
It's on the agenda.
it was on the monthly office report, so that's why.
I know. Yep.
So is Wayne or somebody gonna be here from the road department for these invoices that need to be paid or not? Or are these just copies of the, what has been paid? This gets copies of what has been paid.
He's in Norway, so I don't think he's coming.
He's what?
He's in Norway, so I don't think he's coming.
Oh, that's right.
Well, maybe in spirit.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the monthly office report.
It's been moved by Sean to approve the monthly office reports. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Make a note that Dale Peterson is arrived at 20 after 1.
Comes out of your next paycheck, you know.
It's concerning.
Can't equalize yet. Can't water board. Looks like 24 through 37 are just reports.
I think so.
So are these the, I didn't look back, are these the invoices that we authorized last meeting, and then we're just seeing a print out of them now?
Oh, no, the invoice date is the 30th of May.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Is KLJ in there? Yeah, we just approved payment of this invoice, so it's the same numbers on here.
Okay. All right then.
It's just two of them?
No,
This one we just approved was just for the Decker Bridge inspection and the 2015 graveling projects.
how much was it?
$7409.53 and $1,054.
740953. 740953.
I think that includes
That includes the 1,000. It's
all
79
four of these CNOB 001, 052, 060, and 059. So that's why there's only one number. And then the last one must be the bridge deal.
Yeah, it's 60, 59, and 52 equals that 740953.
Yep. Oh, and the bridge one must not be in here.
No, 70, 60.
That's just a separate, that doesn't have anything to do with the
No.
state, that's why
No.
that's not.
So there's just three of them that were okay there.
Yep.
So, and there is originals in here for me to sign, so we'll need a motion to send in these final project certifications to Brian Fuchs, and it's CNOB 60, 59, 52,
001.
and 001, yeah?
So moved.
It's been moved by John that we send in these final certifications for these four projects to the state of North Dakota. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next thing on the agenda is the social services building. And the reason I put it on here, for some reason, nobody was having the grass mowed down at the social services building, and the girls in the auditor's office got an email from the city asking them to take care of it. So they called me, and there is money in the social services budget for 2017 for snow removal and mowing, and I told Samantha to just go ahead and call Dennis Mankey and have the grass mowed. I didn't know it, but I called Connie. We actually own 3 lots there, so that big open area between the gun shop and the social services is our responsibility. So I don't know if we need to.
We may as well offer it for sale with the building when we do it all at once.
They're all on 2 abstracts, Connie.
Yes.
Yeah, so we would do that. I would assume so.
They make parking or something if something.
But I don't know if we need a motion to the effect that social services keep the social service budget be used to keep that grass mowed until the time of sale.
Well,
Or,
I don't think so. It was already set up that way.
It was set up that way. I think they just need to be reminded of their responsibility.
okay,
Don't you think? Okay.
okay,
It's in their budget.
Who did they have?
I don't know.
Dennis.
He's got one more now anyway.
Is he?
Yeah. That's good.
And then that web property, same email, different
Yeah.
email, same
Oh, yeah.
issue. So I didn't do anything about that one because we're gonna have to
Is that the one
authorize.
on the west end of town, the trailer house?
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll probably need a motion to have the girls contact Dennis and tell him to keep that grass mowed until we get rid of it.
Yeah, or tell the city to do it and bill us for it. That's in the ordinance, that if we don't do it, the city will do it. The city would do it and bill us for it.
Okay, you want to do that?
I don't know, it doesn't matter to me.
Well,
You know, unless, then maybe they'll bill us $500 a time, I don't know.
not much to mow. There's too much shit in the yard.
Yeah,
So
there should be, there's that little strip right in front of the,
maybe if they kept moving the couch over and killed the grass.
you really could spread that junk around and there wouldn't be any mowing.
You know, according to the ordinance, then.
But the
property
ordinance covers junk too.
Covers junk too.
Grass. You could let it grow up and burn it off in the fall.
No, everything left on there is county property now.
Well, I'm not so certain about that.
Okay. I'm not either. I mean, I have no. That's why I'm asking. Because if it was, we could have Myron roll the roll-off off over there and have the road department go over there with the payloader and load the roll-off.
I'm not so certain of that because for sure they have a year to reclaim any foreclosed property.
But the
Contents.
the property is the only thing included in that, I presume. The
And
trailer
the-
house and everything else is just content.
And we don't own that. So theoretically, the county, according to their ordinance, the city, the ordinance have written, if they had some way to enforce it, they wrote the ordinance and they're supposed to be the people that enforce it, which of course doesn't work in our system of government. You can't be both. If they had a way to enforce it via court order, then they could put the price of the cleanup against the value of the property and taxes.
Right.
Yeah, they put a tax lien on it. I don't know. Which would then make it harder to get rid of, which would then increase someone's liability, financial cost to take care of it.
Right. So we don't need to cross that bridge today. Should we have Dennis mow it or should we ask the city to do it?
But Dennis, it doesn't matter to me.
No, it doesn't to me either, but from what you just said then, we're taking bids on it a week from today,
We own the real estate.
and we're ordering them to remove and dispose of that mobile home and to remove and get rid of all that other stuff.
Yeah, what was it, 30 days
Are
or
we
60,
okay with
60
that?
days?
I'm not a lawyer, that's Jamie's venue, but I would say no, because they have a year to redeem the property.
Okay, because the bids would be a lot different if they don't have to dispose of that mobile home, I suppose, so.
Jamie was the one that's supposed to research that.
Yeah.
Again, I
I
mean,
suppose you can fix it up.
Yeah.
that's what we have them for.
Yeah,
It has been foreclosed on, it's been brought into the county realm, the county owns it,
the mobile home,
the property.
or the property, yeah.
It's how does personal property sitting on a county property, I don't know.
There's gotta be a time frame, I would imagine, before it.
But conceivably, they could come back and reclaim that property within a year.
The real estate.
The real estate, not property, excuse me. The real
Yeah, like
estate.
if I bought that, or if somebody buys it, and they clean all that stuff off of there, there's no recourse for the person that left it there. Well, I didn't know. Somebody must have took it. I don't know who got it.
Yeah,
I mean-
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, somebody might be taking stuff off of there right now. You don't know that either.
No.
So I don't think there's any recourse. I
Maybe not.
it would be a stretch
Yeah.
in my.
I was thinking more about the fact that the county goes and spends all the money to clean it up. The prior owner comes back and pays.
It redeems it.
back-
Oh,
redeems it,
absolutely.
And then the county cleaned it up. The county or the city cleaned it up for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about cleaning it up. I haven't driven by there. But if there's stuff scattered all over
All
the
over.
yard, it's bad. Take the payloader over there and push it in the
I
pile.
mean, there is
And then mow around
couches,
it.
there's couches in the yard. Shit like that. Who knows what's in the tall grass? Maybe nobody will mow it because they're afraid over a bunch of,
Okay. What are your wishes? If it's that ugly, maybe we should just ask the city to do it.
If we don't do it, the city says they will do it and they will assess the fees on the property.
Yep.
Seems like an easy way to do it to me. Let them decide whether or not,
Right.
what to do with the thing.
Okay.
Pretty good idea.
So do nothing. Okay. County CD, Jamie is that one. That memorial, I contacted Ryan Iverson. He's gonna have his monument dude look at that thing next time he comes to town to see what it will take to repair those letters so you can read them. So I don't think we have any action to take on that today.
Okay.
And I talked to Jim Zimprick about that thing, and to be honest with you, that was something that came up at one of their meetings, he said, and nobody really remembers the content of the memorial anymore. It's been so long ago. So I asked him, I said, you guys should talk about that amongst yourselves again. There's kind of a lot of trees in that corner, for one thing. I don't know if putting flagpoles in there would have much effect in the summertime.
Right.
And it's not necessarily a veterans memorial. So
One side of it is.
one side of it is. So anyway, I think we'll let it lie right now. Now, the fact that it's on the courthouse grounds, I think it would be in the county's best interest if we could get that thing repaired.
Yeah, I think we should.
And I don't care if we have to pass the hat in this room. I'd
Yeah.
like to see it fixed. So.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. I wonder in the future if we should put it into the Dennis's budget for maintenance and repair of that.
Dennis's?
Oh, PSO.
Oh,
If we put a small maintenance repair item in his budget, then he could.
yeah, it's because that plastic chain that goes
Yeah.
around, it's broke.
Yep.
I mean, it does need a little TLC.
Yep.
So,
Then there'd be because that'd work out just fine if he'd want to do that. I mean, he wouldn't have to do the labor. He just have the budget here and hire someone to do it, look after it.
what's this room called? Community room?
Multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose room?
Should we stand in the hallway and direct somebody?
I don't know if he's here or not, Connie. He just asked me where the meeting was. But I would entertain a 10-minute break so I can go to the bathroom before we start on the rest of the budget.
I suppose.
So I drank too much water at lunchtime and drove all the way from Macville. Is there a second to the motion?
Oh, no.
All in
He's so
favor?
bad, he's got to go.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
This is a test. This is only a
There'll
test.
come a point where I won't ask for permission.
Howdy.
What's going on right now?
I mean, we're through everything pretty much. So equalization, and all that left.
It'll move quickly today.
CD, I guess, we're waiting on that for you.
Okay, Connie got some information on that too. She made a phone call from yesterday.
Yep. They used to have one back in the China Valley days. I bet I left it there. Is there any issues with those auditors or with the assessor's books? Lori?
I know. Connie would be better.
Not that I know of.
meeting back to order. Apparently, nobody remembered to notice the water board meeting today because there was a bunch of them here. So I don't dare do that.
It was noticed as a county commission meeting, but it wasn't noticed as a water board meeting.
They can notice it and post it.
Yeah, but
No,
it wouldn't
that's
be
not
be
very
fair to
fair. If
that
somebody wanted to be here, you can't post it 2 minutes before you go into session. So they're gonna come back on the 23rd. Okay? That's best we can do.
Yeah, I mean, just noticed when I walked out of the meeting room that there was just the county commissioners there. We do have some experience with the attorney general coming after us, so I don't suppose we'll.
I think that lady that works in his office still remembers the name too. After the last discussion we had.
The attorney general would have to come after the water board, not us.
I know.
Well, it'd still be our name involved.
That's true.
And I'm quite sure that the remembrance of it would be enough to get us included a little bit. Somehow we fault.
So are they going to notice it, or does Sam have to do that?
They're gonna post it.
Yeah.
You know, we looked at our list of meeting dates, and our next one is the 23rd. They have theirs posted out there too, but the 23rd's not on there, of course. So they're gonna do that.
But then if Lori, if you or Sam would put it on the doorway out here too. So that it's done correctly.
Oh, out on the bulletin board.
Well, no, actually we have to post it on the entrance to the,
Oh,
it's right in the
I
way
see.
when you walk in here.
you guys do that.
Mhm.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, it's 2:00. Let's equalize. We gotta go into recess.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to accept the books from the assessors first?
It says they shall provide, right?
Yeah.
Do you have that, Ron?
Well, it just says.
On the website?
Let's see. Duties of the county auditor.
This says that the Board of County Commissioners is required to approve the city changes.
Yeah, no, I don't think it really says.
What?
Okay, yeah, it does.
Or, do you find it?
Okay, it says the Board of County Equalization shall examine and compare the assessments returned by the assessors of all the districts within the county and shall proceed to equalize the same throughout the county between the several assessment districts. The County Board of Equalization is not required to approve the changes submitted by the township assessors. They are only required to equalize, make changes to the assessments. The County Board of Commissioners, not the County Board of Equalization, is required to approve the city changes.
Yeah, and on that,
So we'll do that after the equalization meeting.
okay, because I have a question for Jamie on it, but we can maybe convene the meeting first if you want to, or.
We'll have to go into recess. We'll have to recess the commissioners meeting and convene
Okay.
the equalization meeting. Is that right? I mean, is that how they've already done in the past?
I think so, so I'll move to recess the county commissioner meeting.
Second.
It's been moved to go into recess from the county commissioners meeting. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. County commissioners meeting is in recess. I'd like to convene the meeting of the, annual meeting of the Griggs County Equalization Board.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question of Jamie first if I could, because, you know, I'm what John just read. Some of that was my stuff back in there. But it says the duties of the board at its meeting, the county board of equalization shall examine and compare the excessive assessments returned by the assessors of all districts within the county and shall proceed to equalize it the same throughout the county between the several assessment districts. Now, to me, that means we don't approve the assessments that have been made by the individual assessors. I mean, there's nothing in there that says we have to approve those assessments. To equalize means to make changes and to either increase it or decrease it. And we're supposed to equalize it between the several assessment districts. But that's a lot different than approving, you know, if one particular township added one residence for 40,000, I don't think that's required. I don't think we are required to approve that.
It's under 5709, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, it's 57 1204. And it's, the whole thing is just that one sentence.
The first order of business is supposed to be to approve the changes to the city. If you look at this entry code here, County Board of Equalization. The first order of business must be the equalization of assets of property assessed by city boards of equalization. So the first thing we do here, in my estimation, is look at City of Cooperstown. There's a list of the changes that were made.
I do want to add one thing though.
Okay.
In 571102, duties of the auditor, it says the city, the assessments as equalized must be accepted by the Board of County Commissioners in lieu of all other assessment rules for the property in said city. That to me means it's not a Board of Equalization issue.
It isn't. But we're equalizing them now.
But the city has to equalize them.
They did. They have the minutes of their equalization meeting are
Okay,
right there.
all right,
Okay, their equalization meeting was on April 11th.
okay.
City of Hannaford was on April 18th, and the Binford equalization meeting was on April 18th.
Okay.
So they're all done, and the changes are listed in here, and the reason for the changes.
Okay.
And to me, if we agree with the equalization, then, I mean, we can make changes as the equalization board, right?
That's what appears to do, you can make changes, but if you agree with
But
it,
then,
you accept
then
it.
after the meeting, then when we're done with this meeting, then the county commissioners have to accept it. That's how I read the century code.
But the city language, the city auditor as clerk shall keep an accurate record of all changes made in valuation
Yep, they did.
and of all other proceedings, and within 10 days after the completion of the equalization of the assessment, shall deliver the assessments as equalized to the county auditor of the county in which the city is situated. And with the city auditor's certificate that the assessments are correct and equalized by the city board of equalization. Do we have the city's auditor's certificate?
I think it's part of their minutes.
Okay. Then the assessment as equalized must be accepted by the Board of County Commissioners in lieu of all other assessment rules for the property in said city. So we don't have any control over the assessments within the city. We have control over equalizing the cities
Amongst
themselves.
Yep.
Correct. And really, the same thing goes with the townships.
Yep.
We don't have any individual assessments that we don't change. We change the assessment value of the whole township, and in order to do that, we might have to change the individual assessment, correct?
Well, the assessments as equalized must be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the assessments as equalized.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we just
So
accept
have
that.
to- We have to accept those.
Yep. That's correct.
What is sand development?
It's a town houses, I think, over by Harold's place.
About over.
That road deal.
Okay.
If I-
But yeah, if that's the.
That's our tax commissioner, isn't it?
Equalized assessments,
I think so.
and the assessments as equalized must be accepted. We don't have a choice, we must.
No, I know that. But we still can equalize. We accept.
We
it.
can equalize, if we say, well, the city of Hannaford assessed their property at 10% lower than the city of Cooperstown, we can tell them
Okay,
we can
Lower
increase
all their properties.
or increase.
Yeah.
But increase takes notice. I mean, so
so we're gonna compare Hanford, Bedford, and Cooperstown
to each other,
to each other and increase or decrease any one of those three, but not make individual changes to Cooperstown.
But let me read you the requirements for making that decision.
Okay.
The County Board of Equalization, when equalizing individual assessments, shall observe the following rules. The valuation of each tract or real property returned below or its true full value must be raised to the sum believed by the board to be true and full value, believed. And the valuation of each tract or lot of real property, which in the opinion of the board is returned above its true and full value, must be reduced to the sum as believed to be the true and fair value thereof. This isn't so. You can basically do whatever the majority belief of the board is. And then if that sparks an argument from the taxpayer, then that's where that process takes place. So I'm of the opinion that once these assessments have been made, who are we to try to second guess the assessors?
I could look through them real quick and say, I believe they look pretty good.
well, you want to start World War III, this is a good place to do it. Or maybe just, it's a small area, but it wouldn't be World War III. It'd be,
I mean, the
County
assessment.
War One.
County War, well, maybe there's one before.
Well, maybe.
I mean, certainly the people that did the assessing are closer to have more of a pulse on it than we do. I mean,
Yeah, I sure don't know.
And
How
our
much-
properties in Hannaford and Cooperstown
How
comparable.
Boy, I sure don't know. I mean, Hannaford would probably, well, maybe Hannaford would be a bit less and Bedford in the middle, but if somebody really wants to live in Hannaford because they got a job out there,
well,
maybe they're more.
I'd be in favor of lowering all properties in Cooperstown to the value of Bedford. If you want to make the taxpayers happy.
If in the opinion of the board, that's what we should do, we can do it.
you girls must have supplied these nice little forms for everybody to fill out. Thank you for doing that.
Yep, that's nice.
Problem is, Binford didn't do it.
A couple of the townships didn't do it.
What form is that?
In fact, I don't have reports from some of the townships.
Yeah.
Well, the certification and, how to do the deal. Proceedings. The minutes are here.
I was at the meeting. I
Yeah,
was
I
at
see
the
that.
Bedford Equalization meeting, so
I was at a couple of meetings. Did I fill out that form?
Nothing changed.
nothing changed.
I don't think I filled it out, but.
So nothing changed in Binford, so that's why they didn't
Yeah, nothing changed in Bedford.
do anything with that stuff. Pass that one around too.
It was just, you have Hannaford then?
Troy, could I say something? I think that's why the tax director got involved in
Yep.
this process and that
They didn't have
evolved, so
anything.
that he or she looked at all of these things before you guys met and could recommend things to you, tell you if they were close to being equalized or not. And
Oh, that's a.
I think that's how historically the process got put on the tax director.
That's probably correct, but it is not the tax director's job to equalize. It is a group effort to equalize, and equalize is so vague anyway. I'm not quite sure how you go about equalizing.
The rules prevent you from equalizing right out of the gate. Most of the residences in the county are farm exempt, so you can't equalize that. Then you got all these abatements. You can't equalize that. I mean, and all the agricultural property is equalized by the state
Right.
at NDSU.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything to do with that. The little bit of residences and commercial properties in Griggs County is minuscule. To have a full-time employee to equalize that, there's no possible way you can get enough value out of it. There's no way.
But I mean, it isn't even the tax director's job to equalize it.
No, I mean, I get it.
But isn't the whole process of equalization, shouldn't it take place right at the most basic level between the property owner and the assessor? And if that's done correctly, there is no need for equalization.
Right.
So how are we?
Well, or in the Township Equalization Board.
The next step up, but I mean, if the assessor goes to the property owner and does their job correctly and it arrives at assessment, there is no need for equalization, because then everything should be assessed at its true and full value. And then why then should you, if you're assessing a property up in northwestern part of the county and down in the southeastern part of the county, and the assessor did his job and assessed them correctly for their location, then they are equalized.
No, I agree.
So the job of equalization past that point is minuscule, and in my opinion, worthless, because we are overstepping what has already been determined. The only time we should get involved in it if a citizen has a complaint against their assessment,
Right.
in my opinion.
Well, then that is exactly what we're here for today.
Yeah.
You just don't have anybody doing that, so must be mad enough at their assessor to come and take it to this level.
We had.
But that would have been done at a lesser value, you know. Today, everything is done for you, you just, it's done. I mean, the townships have already did the work.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's all,
I mean,
and before that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, Linda Ledbetter was here and couldn't explain the process of equalization, and she's supposed to be the one overseeing it. How do you explain it? You're supposed to equalize, but how do you equalize? How do you compare different valuations?
But at a lower level, so you guys aren't involved with it.
Well,
You know, like on a township level?
Yeah, but it should be like, if somebody went to a township or city meeting and appealed there, and their appeal was denied, then they can appeal it.
Correct.
To the county level, and if we deny it, then
Correct.
they can appeal it to the state level.
Right on.
Yeah, but
Right.
nobody appealed it at the township level that I'm aware of.
And if there was a problem at the township level, the assessor took care of it. And
Yeah.
you don't hear about it. And it might be a new house being built out in the country.
Yeah.
They go assess it.
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody did appeal in Cooperstown, they never told us about, well, they should have been here today. You know, and nobody is here saying, I appealed at Cooperstown and they denied it, so now I'm appealing to you guys.
I agree. That should be our only function as a tax equalization, as a Board of Equalization. But the state doesn't see it that way. The state wants us to take the townships and the cities in general and try to equalize them amongst each other as a whole. And I just don't see the purpose of doing that, because that should have been done at the very basic level to start with.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
And until they can define equalize and give you a point-by-point method of doing it, they leave it to our belief, and I think they've already stepped on themselves anyway by stepping into the realm of trying to control or levy property tax past the county level. The state shouldn't have any input in this.
Is the state trying to mandate any increases this year?
They always will. There's a state board of equalization. So once it goes here, then the state takes on the job of trying to equalize counties amongst themselves. Which again, how do you do that? So they've come up with some formulas, and of course they pass it off to NDSU to try to equalize in that venue, and then they've come up with a set of guidelines to try to evaluate commercial and residential properties within each county to get a value. But the problem is, how do you value that against a property in Bismarck? How do you value it against a property in Lakota? There's no, so the only thing that the State Board of Equalization does is constantly drives up assessments. Have you found a place, Ron, where it's gone down?
No.
No, I haven't either. But
And that would be okay if all the mill levies could be readjusted and
They can't.
reset.
They
I
can't.
know. Some can, some can't, but if you could adjust them, they could do whatever they wanted, and you just run your budget.
well,
We do that
we
to a large degree,
to a large degree.
but the
Except for the set mill one.
the set mill ones and the other are like the schools, they take what they can, so their budgets have gone way up.
But the Constitution of North Dakota explicitly stops the ability to levy property taxes at the county line. That's it. And by the state making all these rules and regulations and driving assessments up and having mill levies that are not adjustable, they are in fact levying county taxes.
Washburn was the township that didn't send the certification back on us.
We didn't have any problems. No, we had a house. There should have been something.
There's two adjustments in here, but nobody's.
No, Connie's looking.
Oh, it's in that pile. I'm sorry, you did too.
I don't think, other
I don't know
than
if it's
Selvison's
filled in,
new
but-
house and maybe Tim James's got I'm not, we didn't have nothing going on. We give free coffee and free cookies and we can't get anybody to go.
I don't think you're wrong.
Trade beer.
Well, you're doing it,
The
Tom.
beer didn't come out.
You're doing it wrong. If you want people to come to your meeting, raise their taxes.
Yeah.
They had a full house for Willow Township when they did it at Red Willow. Every cabin over there.
I had a hard time understanding,
This is
like
Cooperstown,
Roger-
Bilford, and Halford, I think.
I'm of the opinion that if there's no one here complaining that these must be equalized.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'd entertain a motion to accept the equalization or the assessments of the city assessors.
Yeah, I'll move to accept the assessments of the city assessors as presented.
Yep.
Second it.
Equalization of assessments. Been moved by Ron, seconded by Sean to accept the assessments as presented by the city boards of equalization. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second order of business is the equalization of the townships.
Don't we have to now equalize between the cities?
We just did.
We accepted the assessments. Now we're supposed to equalize.
The county commissioners accepts the assessments,
They're equalized?
the equalized assessments.
Okay.
I think we do that after the meeting.
Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah, in the county commission. Yeah.
We just equalized the city assessments. Now when we're go back into the county commission session,
We accept it.
we have to accept those equalized assessments. Otherwise, if we accepted them before we went into the equalization meeting, we certainly couldn't change them.
No. It would just expose a trivial matter of this meeting anyway, and that's.
I know.
Unless there's someone here that needs adjustment, I mean, we're,
This is just exercise.
yeah.
Yeah. 20 township chairmans of board chairmans of equalizations, and we only have one here.
Only enough to speak for all of them.
We have two.
You must be.
Two.
Oh, two, okay.
Turn your hat around.
That's 10%. But that's not bad.
You can have maybe from federal. Jimmy.
We do that the exact same way, right? So I'll move to approve the assessments submitted by the township assessors as equalized. I think that's the right words.
Yeah,
I think it's
accept.
accept,
Accept the
or
assessments.
the assessments as presented by the township board of equalization is how it should be,
Okay.
I think.
That's what I want.
What it says in here is the chairman of each township board of equalization, no, the chairman of each township board of equalization or the chairman's appointed representative of each township assessor must be present at such meeting during the second order of business. Second order of business must be to equalize the equalization of assessments of property assessed by township boards of equalization. So,
Yep, that's right.
Ron has approved, I've moved to approve the township assessments as presented by the township boards of equalization. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I think we're done.
Move to adjourn.
Been moved by Ron to adjourn. Is there a second to that motion?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Call the meeting back to order of the Griggs County Commission. I think we need a motion to accept the equalized values from the, as submitted from the cities.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Okay, so now what has to be done is the county auditor shall act as the clerk of the county board of equalization and keep an accurate record, journal, or record of the proceedings and orders of said board, showing the facts and evidence upon which each action is based. Such record must be published as other proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners are published, and a copy of such published proceedings must be transmitted to the state tax commissioner with the abstract of the assessment required by law.
She's writing.
Okay.
And recording, hopefully. Right, Lori?
It is.
And as soon as we find something for the tax director to do in all this, somebody speak up. Because so far, nothing.
So far, nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, that's the next thing on the agenda.
You're gonna do the township stuff?
Hmm?
If we accepted the city ones, you're gonna do
I don't think they have to. Yeah,
No, I don't think so. I think it's just the city.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
Tax director.
Okay. Yeah, on page 38, I guess, is where it says, and where this came from. Wait, and I don't know if Kevin's here, but on page 38, this form says, report of the county recorder, Schedule BX, full consideration reported on face of deed. And 2 weeks ago, I volunteered to do the sales ratio study report to Linda Ledbetter. And I mentioned at that time I was having trouble finding 30 valid sales. And that comes from item 26. On item 26, I believe that the recorder should mark if it's usable or not usable. And Kelly has indicated that she is not going to do that. She feels it's not her job. And so her 38 and 39, it's a 2-page form. This is the front of the form, this is the back of the form. And she said this page here has to be filled out by the tax director's office. And I said if it has to be filled out by the tax director's office, it would say to be filled out by the tax director.
It says Griggs County Recorder.
Yeah, and it says this signature is, well, one thing it does say, like in compliance with NDCC, towards the bottom of there, page 59, 5701-072, that, we're just getting into page 38 and 39 here. That one does say someplace that no sale may be used in any sales, market, and productivity study until it has been verified by the state tax commissioner, the county supervisor of assessments, township supervisor, or the board of county commissioners, or its agent. That's in 5701-07.2. And then the other one, and I guess it's an out probably, but in the recorder's duties, and I'm reading from 11. Let me go here. Yeah, 11-1802.2, that the county recorder shall certify on the face of the deed any one of the following. One of those is a statement designating one of the exemptions, and then it lists 13 exemptions, whether it's well, it's pretty much the same as these back here, whether it's personal property or private property. And this, of course, does get into what we're going to talk about later with shared deputies and moving the deputies into a pool, that underneath the county commissioners, where this problem will go away. But anyway, right now, I have quit work on the sales ratio study because the item 26 is not checked. And I'm not going to go through this and try to figure it out, whether these people were related or not, or whether there was personal property involved, or whether a significant portion of personal property was involved, a person where the grantor or grantee are the same family, or property classified as personal, or it's being used for something else. You see, well, it's the 23 items.
How would you know that?
I wouldn't. And I don't even know if someone were to ask a citizen this. I think the citizen would have the right to tell them to pound sand. I don't think the citizen has to be, are you related to the grantor? It's none of your business. But
Ron, can I speak?
Sure. Oh, well, ask Troy. Ask Troy. He's the chairman.
When I was the tax director, I do believe that there was a form that the tax director can send out to the individuals asking those questions. Like, Connie, do you remember ever seeing that? It's a long time since I've been in there. But it has certain questions on there. Because you don't know. I mean, that's part of the tax director's job to do that research. I know when I was in there, I had to make phone calls to individuals and ask some of those questions.
Why is it the tax director's job to do that research?
You'd have to talk to the state about that. It's clear, it was in that email that I sent you from Judy Bros.
Well, it's not in the North Dakota Century.
That I don't know. I just know it came from Judy Gross, the certain lines that is the tax director's responsibility
Well,
and
that-
the recorder's responsibility, and number 26 was not the
Well,
recorder's
well,
responsibility.
in that email, Judy Rose wrote that email to the recorder and the tax director.
Yep.
And she said to the recorder and tax director, you don't have to do this. She said you only have to fill out these 6 columns. And that went to both the recorder and the tax director.
No, she clearly stated the highlighted area was for the recorders and had the
Well,
certain
we'd have to read
lines.
it again, but.
Yep, because in the attachments, she clearly had
Yeah.
each department and who was to fill out which line item, and
I don't want to.
26 is, like I said, I know when I was in that office, there was a letter that you could send out to individuals.
Yeah, and I don't.
And whether they answer that or not, I don't know if they're legally obligated, like you said, they
Well,
could.
yeah, and I don't want to insult this Judy Rose, but her title is Office Assistant 3. And I'm not sure she's qualified to decide what's being done by that, to read the Century Code and determine what's being done by each
Well, it
department.
was also stated by Linda Ledbetter too. I just received it. I have the same email from Linda Ledbetter, who
Right.
also sent the information
I don't
stating.
remember seeing
No, I just received the email from Linda Ledbetter. She was
Because
at our conference.
I guess the question is, on that form, that's clearly your responsibility, what part of it do you disagree with accomplishing for us?
Well, I don't have access to the information that isn't required by me. And it was clearly spelled out in that attachment that I forwarded on to Ron.
Yeah, but.
It had the Excel with the line items that were, I have no idea the type of occupancy, the class of construction, the quality of construction, the year it was built, the floor area. I don't have access to those programs. I don't do anything with that. The only thing I do is grant or grantee. I gotta make sure the consideration is there, the legal description is correct when we receive deeds. The other information, I don't, you
But
know.
I agree. So given that, then if it's not required, how can it be required from another office of this county, and why, when the tax director works at the pleasure of the county commission, would we want to instruct the tax director to be invasive of the people that we work for? This is nonsense. And Linda Ledbetter sat there 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and she couldn't answer any of these questions. And now it's insulting that we come back and say Linda Ledbetter said this and Linda Ledbetter said that, when she didn't. She could not name one item that was mandatory for us to do. All she said is if you don't do it, we could possibly be punitive in the overall assessment of the county. So let's quit these emails coming from unnamed sources or sources that have no control over us, and get down to the basics here, what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be making life better for the citizens of Griggs County. It doesn't make it better for them to harass them and to raise their taxes. And we all work for the citizens of Griggs County. Let's get down to the basics of this. The bureaucracy gets to stay here as long as the citizens want to spend money on it. If the citizens of Griggs County say we want to spend half the money in taxes on county government, that's what they get. And we don't have a say over that. We say, yep, you're right. You're the one paying the bills. We will get rid of half these employees. We'll get rid of half the services. And if they're happy with that, then we're all supposed to be happy with that. We're all mixed up here on who's in charge. We're not in charge. We are just here to make life better for the people that put us in office and who you work with. So I've had it with this. Letters coming from the state instructing us we have to do this and that because they sent their biggest gun here, and that didn't really provide any information on what we have to do.
Connie.
To get back to that number 26 on the form and the paragraph that from the Century Code that Ron read, where it states, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it, but that the assessor or the county assessor or the
Thank you.
clerk of, no, not clerk of court, if you can find it again, Ron. The county commission or its agent has to verify sales. I think
571203. No, wait.
in paragraph 2 or something like that.
Not that page.
It's in 11, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
570107.3.
There you go.
No sale may be used in any sales, market, or productivity study until it has been verified by the state tax commissioner. Well, we could have him do it.
Yeah, but it says it can be used. It doesn't say you have to verify it. It just says it can't be used if it's not verified. You don't even get a sale price if you do a quitclaim deed, correct, Kelly?
Most part, correct. I mean, people can put $10, $1, but
Right, but
most
so there's not
likely
even
they're
right.
exempt.
Yep.
And generally on those, they put the reason why, related, things like that, so.
But they don't have to. I mean, they don't have to get it. If somebody does a quitclaim deed, you don't get any information about the property whatsoever if they don't want to volunteer it.
Correct.
Okay.
And the other one.
As far as I understand it.
No.
Either the county supervisor of assessments, which we don't have any, the township supervisors, it'd be good to make them do it.
I'm not in the habit of making anybody do anything.
Board of County Commissioners.
Connie?
County commissioners, keep reading.
Or the agent or something, or its agent.
Right. And I think it's evolved that the tax director became the agent of the county commission and researched all of that, because the tax director really would be the one who had the, whatever the assessment value is, which is one of those numbers on that sheet, the current assessment value of the property, the number of acres in that parcel, those kinds of things, the parcel number. Those are all in Dakota programs, so somebody who has that could do that part of it. But I think that's why it evolved into the tax director's job, was because somebody had to compile that and get that together and figure it out.
So let's change the phrasing there. Somebody didn't have to, somebody could.
Okay.
I mean, because being this is all voluntary information, if no one volunteered the information, you couldn't compile anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But you'd also have to note that if you can't find any information, then probably it's not a verifiable sale. Then you can't verify anything.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's what you report to the state. No, I can't verify.
No, but then the state requires you keep going back and going back and going back until you can get
Well,
30
then you can have
verifiable
the state
sales.
do
So
it.
I think we should quit asking questions and solve our whole problem. When somebody comes in to file something, don't ask them any questions. We don't have any information, we can't provide any information.
File a deed?
No, just file the deed. All this information that they voluntarily give to us, they don't know it's voluntary.
I
We're
don't
asking
ask any
questions.
questions.
They're not asked anything when they file.
We're
All
just
this information automatically is generated into that Excel form from my computer. I hit export and it goes out. I don't ask any questions. I make sure that I have my recording requirements and I go from there.
Okay.
I just, to keep track of.
Historically in our county, that's what's happened. She just generates that information. The tax director finds out the answers to the other questions.
But what I'm saying is, if the answers that they are asking are not mandatory, then we're not compiling a true census of what the values are, because only the people that want to give up that information do, and the people that don't keep it to themselves. So how can that be an accurate consensus of what's going on?
How many of these are there?
In 2016, there was 35, 40, I don't know.
I have no idea. I just
I
print
can't
them out.
remember. You send them to me.
Send them on.
There's like 7 to 12 every month that
Well, not-
verifies.
I don't think there's that
mean,
many.
it.
I
It
think-
varies by month. Because it depends
Some
on the
months
type of
there's
deeds.
4.
I know I couldn't, because in the past too, you had been checking yes or no on some of these.
When I'm known.
I don't think you should have been, probably.
Probably not, but some of them I know, well, that's his
But-
brother.
but
you
how
know,
would you
It can't
know?
be, you know.
Yeah, so I. you
So
know,
I thought I was helping by doing
You
that.
probably
Yeah,
would.
if I had been you, I wouldn't have checked any of them.
But yeah, I don't think the point is that anybody did anything wrong. I think that we should quit being intrusive and just let this process be at its simplest point, and let the county commission and residents of the county determine how much they want to be involved in this, rather than letting the state determine how much they want us involved. Because they have ulterior motives to keep driving up these assessment prices. And if you don't believe that, their remedy for us not complying is a punitive raise in our assessments. So, I think this process could be really easy if we would all get on the same page here. The tax director's position could be very simple. Because ultimately, all the tax director is required to do is report to the county commission, and if the county commission is happy with the results of the tax director's job, then everything's hunky-dory. If they say it wants to come after somebody, they come after the county commission, not the tax director. That's my point in this. I don't think there's anybody out there, and any citizens out there jumping up and down and saying we got to have a real aggressive tax assessment policy in place because we need to I want to pay more taxes. Which gets me to the point of, we have $30,000 available in the tax director's budget. Don't you think that would be beneficial to somehow split that up amongst the people in the county that would be willing to put forward a small effort to do this? That would be beneficial towards the employee, whether it be Connie and Kelly or any combination of it. Why not spread this out, be compensated for it, and move forward with this thing, rather than force the county commission to then bring on another person. And I doubt, at least from my point of view, if we bring on somebody else, I wouldn't want it done by increasing taxation. I would want it done from within the existing financial pool that exists for the employees. So it seems to me that this is a workable situation. I just about blue in the face trying to figure out why we can't work it out. And the county commission doesn't want to be the tax director by any means. We're being the tax director because someone has to take the blame for when things don't get done. That's really what it's about. And if there has to be someone that says, okay, well, I didn't get done, that's our fault. We don't have a tax director. How do we get a tax director? The only thing I agreed with Linda Ledbetter when she was here was that in order to get a tax director, you have to offer more money. I don't agree that it's a full-time position, but maybe we have to combine it with another position and make it pay full-time and vary the duties of it. And there's not many ways to do that other than take from one and give to another.
Right, I mean, it can grow into a full-time job, just like any other task can expand to take up the time that's allotted for it, but it doesn't need to.
Yep.
So what are you gonna do with this report?
I quit working on it because I don't know if the sales are valid or not, or whatever the word is, usable.
Usable.
I don't know if the sales are usable or not, so I quit.
Why wouldn't we just assume that they are?
That they are?
Unless you can't find the sales value, what it's sold for.
Well, I mean, there's a whole page of disqualifiers there. I think we'd have to.
I don't think we should go looking for it.
Sure. Could I speak to that a little bit? The reason you don't want to just, in my experience, the reason you don't want to assume that they're good sales is you could have a property that is assessed at $50,000 and it's sold for $100,000. Well, there could be reasons why it's sold for. That's a 50% sale. That's going to skew your sales ratio, and the state will look at that and say, you are way below assessment. You need to raise your within the correct levels. So that's why the tax director has taken the time to do that research and find out those are bad sales. If they're related, that's a great reason to throw it out for, so it doesn't skew your whole sales. So there are reasons that you do want to take the time and find out. Because there could be personal property. Maybe there was personal property that was sold with that. Maybe it's a farmstead and there was outbuildings, or maybe it was on the farm exemption before and, or had, there's other reasons why you would want to throw that out, otherwise your sales ratio could be all
Well,
over the place.
that answered your question. That's what I was gonna say. Unless you can prove that all those sales are good sales, you don't wanna use any of them because they could skew it the other way.
It could be detrimental to your
Yep.
property tax.
So, yeah, so you have to go down that checklist to make sure none of those apply, because each one of those would be detrimental to using it, correct?
Mhm.
Yep. So because we don't have the information to verify that checklist, we have to assume that every one of them are unusable.
Sure.
That's my take on it.
I do believe, and Connie maybe can speak to this too, when you don't have a certain amount of sales, that's when you need to do those appraisals to
Mhm.
make sure that you are within.
We don't have any appraisers on staff.
Tax director did it in the past.
They're not appraisers.
Not qualified.
A qualified tax director was,
No,
because they took those classes.
They're not, they're,
They're not
there's a
appraisers.
difference between an assessor and an appraiser.
Appraiser, right.
Okay.
But the appraisals that they did were okayed by the state, I guess I would say.
The assessments. that-
The assessments they did
Yeah.
would have been okayed by the state because they had had that education.
I think once they became a 3-year certified, because I know I didn't, I had a certified tax director do one for me.
But in the century code, it does say it has to be done by an appraiser,
Mhm.
and an appraiser is different from an assessor. so.
But you know how much the century code is followed.
Well, that's true.
But
We're gonna follow it as
saying
closely
that.
as we can, Connie.
Okay, yeah,
To the benefit of the
I'm-
citizens.
right.
And the licensing within the state.
We have never had a tax director here that was qualified to be an appraiser.
Mm.
Or an assessor.
No.
Well, yeah, I think,
Assessors,
Maybe
yes.
Barb maybe was.
well, I think Barb was
Yeah,
qualified.
Towards the end, but, yeah.
Yeah.
But the state,
Previous ones.
the state spells out and the qualifications between an assessor and appraiser. There's a licensing for an appraiser, and there's a licensing for assessor.
But they're not the same.
I know, and they're different, they're very much different. The qualifications for an appraiser are far more rigid than for an assessor. So for the.
That's why they make a lot of money and there's not very many of them around.
For the state to use appraisal in place of assessment is ridiculous because they know there's a difference. They've already designated there's a difference because they make the definition of it different.
And to me, I've ordered lots of appraisals in my short time in my,
Yep.
what I do now. Comparable sales is one of the biggest things they use. And if we have one commercial sale, for instance, in Griggs County last year, there's no comparable anything anywhere. So even if you were gonna try to do an appraisal, you're gonna go to Fargo and use property, or where are you gonna do it? I just totally disagree with what they're asking us to do. It's not possible, and it will not benefit the citizens, and it will not equalize our property taxes.
Correct. And until we all get on the same page here and realize who we're pulling for, we're gonna keep having these problems.
Yeah, but commercial sales are so different. I mean, it might be a gas station and a feed store. You can't compare them at all.
I mean, I can see if this whole process, at the end of the process, we extracted more money from the state. I'd be all for all this. But at the end of this process, the state extracts more money from the county, and basically because the way the system's set up. So I don't see the purpose in it. And I think it should be opposed at every turn.
Do we know what they use the sales ratio study for? Do
Yeah, that's the one. If it-
State equalization, I suppose.
Well, I mean, if the sales ratio comes in at 85, like last year,
Mhm.
the sales ratio came in at 87%. So they raised every residence in Griggs County by 3% to get it up to that 90% threshold.
Yeah.
And same with commercial last year, it came in at 86% and they raised it 4% to get it up to that 90% threshold. And I'm
So
not,
that's why we had a tax director doing it, so that the percentage would be 90 before it went to the state.
No, that's the reason we got into all the problems is because they went and assessed a property in Griggs County with that Vanguard program and artificially inflated it and put us in a position where it just keeps going up now. That was the problem with our tax director, and that was the problem with that whole Vanguard program. Because the properties, if they would have been left where they're at, would have made their own level. But when we artificially inflated them, artificially put numbers in there, that caused all these problems. And we've never had a tax director that has done that. I mean, the tax director we had caused these problems by putting all those numbers into Vanguard. Go look at the valuations from before and after that. Huge, just.
Well, if I could speak for Cooperstown, I started getting a lot of complaints from residents because we had properties in Cooperstown that the last time they were assessed were in the 80s. And then you have somebody that had a new piece of property that they just purchased and their assessment cost went up to the purchase price. But you have these properties that were pretty equitable, their assessment's way down here. So that's where the inequity is created. Or somebody adds a deck and their value goes up, or this deck wasn't. So those were the complaints that started coming into the office, and the city of Cooperstown then came and said, we want to know all the properties in Cooperstown, when was the last time all of them were assessed, because they were getting so many complaints, because I just bought a home in 2007, and here's, that's the time I was in there. So that's where the complaints came, that's where your inequity comes, and that is why it's every year to make sure that everybody is, I get the concept of what they're saying.
But the inequities are resolved through the abatement process. If I think my property is too high, I can come before any one of these boards and have it lowered. That's where the equalization process really should play out. I don't believe that a tax director or anybody assessing properties, at least as I look back on the different cities you can look at, they never go down in value. They always go up in value. They always assess to a higher value rather than assess to an equal value or a middle value. It's always done higher. But we're off the subject there. That's neither here nor there. I don't believe we need an aggressive system like that in place to basically charge the citizens of Griggs County to put somebody in place that's going to make them pay more taxes. That doesn't seem correct to me.
When my wife was the assessor in Binford, I think she looked at every house every year. So if that's done by the city assessor, then the sales ratio report doesn't mean a hell of a lot, does it? Because everybody's taxes should be changed as things change, right? I mean, when I built my house, my taxes went up because Dean came out and measured it.
Yeah, again, I think it's a real simple process, but until we realize who we're harming by being aggressive, we're not going to get anywhere.
So is it important for us to turn in a sales ratio study?
Well, we had the discussion with Linda. What if we don't do this? And she always said, well, the prospect is that we could raise the percent of assessment. And that was where we had the discussion about, well, is it raised because there's an indication it needs to be raised, or is it going to be raised to be punitive? And she wouldn't answer that question.
Unless they conduct their own sales ratio, they have no basis to raise it.
That was the argument we made to her. And so if we don't have a sales ratio pool to draw from, that we can verify, as Kelly said, is not contaminated by some transaction that we don't know about, how do we conduct this? How do we have a sales ratio study? How do we do that if we can't be sure that the sales we're using are uncontaminated? I think it's pretty, you can't make apples out of oranges. You don't, if we don't have it, we don't have it.
And if we do turn it in, they raise it anyway.
It all depends on what the indication is of, if the property is selling below what the appraised value, they lower it, and above, they raise it.
Yeah,
Assessed.
The threshold is 90 and 100%. Theoretically, if the sales ratio is 105%, they're supposed to reduce it by 5% to get it back to the 100. But if it's between 90 and 100, they're supposed to just leave it alone. Previous years, I think the year before last year, we were at 93, if I remember right. And 90, that's what they didn't change.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what's to be done?
You know, I mean, it's hard to believe they would just plain be punitive. You know.
Well, I mean, they threatened that with the agricultural land.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, they did.
that was from her mouth to my ears.
Mhm.
I mean, that was the year that we decided not to raise it,
Mhm.
and that was the threat.
That they'd go to 100.
They could go to 100. So I guess it wasn't a threat, it was a possibility. So I don't know what the answer is. It's still not clear to me that this is a job of the tax director. I can't find that in the century code anywhere. That's the job of the tax director anyway.
Can you find it anywhere that it is somebody's?
Just no. And I mean, Linda, we went over this. Linda couldn't tell us whose job it was either. Just said it had to be done. And she cited some vague administrative code that she didn't remember the numbers to that she was going to get to us. Well, I haven't got it yet. I don't know if you have, Ron.
No, I haven't.
No. But anyway, how are we going to resolve this tax director thing? What are the options?
Well, I'd like to talk to other employees and see if anybody's interested in taking some of the duties.
Mm-hmm.
I think Samantha already did that.
Well, that was the entire duty, for them to ask if they would take on tax
Okay.
director
Yeah,
job.
'cause that might have been a miscommunication, because I thought Samantha was supposed to ask them, would you work 4 hours a week on this? And I think Samantha misunderstood and said, will you take over this job? But my original request was to ask the employees if some of them would be willing to work 4 hours a week on it.
What about the requirements
What's
the
that?
tax director is supposed to do with the classes, that they're supposed to be certified within 3 years?
2 years, yeah.
Is it two? It's been a long time since, it was
Yeah,
3 years when I was in
Yeah,
there.
it's 24 months.
It is, okay. I would think they would, whoever.
Well, we
somebody
might
has to be
just
entitled.
leave, we could leave the county commission as tax director. There's no statute that says we can't do that, and Ron is already certified. So,
As a class 2, yeah.
yeah.
Are those the same classes that are required of the tax director? For the
Yeah, I
24?
would have.
He
to
went
take-
through the classes.
I would have to take 2 more classes to be a class 1, and that's what the assessors have to be a class 2, the tax director has to be a class 1.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's such a loose requirement anyway. Theoretically, I could be appointed as a tax director, and I'd have 2 years to get certified. The next year, someone else could be appointed.
next year someone else. You get 10 years out of 5 county commissioners. The county commissioners aren't gonna stay in place that long. You could perpetually have a county commissioner as a tax director under probation.
For the
Well, Ron
townships.
started the classes, he could resign as a commissioner,
Yeah.
and become the tax director.
How about we just diminish the tax director's position to where it's a point where he doesn't have to resign, and we can just take care of it right here? Why doesn't somebody in the county want to make a little extra money doing this? That's what baffles me.
Well, the money issue wasn't asked before,
No, I don't.
you know, nobody was asked
Says
to do it.
the appointment must be for a term of no more than 2 years. Any person receiving a probationary appointment who does not obtain certification as a Class 1 assessor within 2 years from the appointment is not eligible for reappointment.
Yep. So again, you could put the rotation in.
Yep. We could just draw straws every year. We got 10 employees in the courthouse and 5 county commissioners. It'd be 30 years before we had to do anything.
And then we could have the state come and wag their finger at us and tell us we can't do that, but they can't explain why not. No, you're right, Connie. The element of money wasn't discussed. In my view, we have a pool of money with the tax director's position included in that pool. And why not take that, which was it $30,000 last year, Ron, in the budget for a tax director?
I believe so.
Why not spread those duties amongst the county employees that want to do this? Let the county commission bear the burden of being the position of the tax director, not the function of it, but take the brunt of the beating if the state says, well, you guys aren't doing it right, and move forward at a minimal requirement here and get some of the forms set in and move on.
Well, I'd like to suggest then that I talk to other
Yeah.
employees and get an answer for you by the 23rd, meeting on the 23rd.
Because
See if we can find somebody to do some of them anyway,
well, I think you've got.
most of them.
I think because I think the alternative, in my point of view, the alternative is to take the $30,000, take a deputy's position, combine those salaries together, combine the jobs together, and put it out in the street. And if the deputy whose position, or multiple deputies we took, doesn't want to be in the position, then what do? Then we lose an employee. That's not what we need to do here. We need to keep everybody here and enhance everybody's life with a little bit more money and take the responsibility away and get this done.
Mhm.
So it's on your shoulders.
You look pretty happy about that, John.
I might shrug it off, we'll see.
Okay, we done with that for now?
I think so.
Till budget time, yeah.
Now, do we want to talk about budget? When are we gonna get started on it?
Shortly.
Now, Sam's done some stuff, preliminary stuff, I think.
I believe so, yes.
She hasn't gotten anything out to you department heads yet, or the officials? Okay. But yeah, we need to get started thinking about it anyway.
That's the first thing, a standardized form for the department heads to fill out for their budget, and everybody do it. That is the first step. And the department heads within the courthouse have been good about this.
Oh, I know.
It's just some of the other entities that
Yep.
don't understand the process and haven't.
Water board,
Yeah,
fair board, I
you
mean,
just need to. They probably need some help getting that put together.
yep. Anything else on that for now? Okay. County CD, is that the next thing?
Oh, wait a minute. There is something else in that right now. There is something else in that right now.
Okay.
in the interim, when we're doing this, Connie had asked whether or not, had volunteered to do some of this work. There's still gonna be some of these things that need to be sent in. And she'd asked whether or not she could be paid for that, and I'm all in favor of that.
Okay.
I didn't respond to the email because I respond, you respond, Ron responds, and it becomes a meeting without a notice. But once it's in front of the commission, I'm in favor of that. If she's doing the work, we should pay her for it.
Okay.
So, do you have an hourly figure? How do you want to do it?
In the past, it was $15 an hour.
I'm in favor of that.
Sounds fine.
I'll make a motion, we authorize Connie to do work on our behalf as tax collector at the rate of $15 an hour.
It's been moved by John that we authorize Connie to fill out some of this tax director paperwork on our behalf for $15 an hour. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion?
Can I make a quick comment?
Yep.
The deputies are making $15.50 an hour. I think Connie just cost herself a little bit of money.
Well, it's what it is.
I agree, but I mean, I can't hardly, all I can do is ask.
That's,
And it shouldn't be a whole bunch, right?
no. it should only take 2 hours.
So we can change it next year.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna be a year, I mean, I think it's just
Just one
temporary, just
project.
little stuff here, because
Project.
hopefully by budget time, we're gonna know which direction we're going in this. Is it gonna stay within the existing
Right.
employees, or is it
Sure.
gonna be farmed out?
Yep. Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I will agree that's not enough.
Oh, yeah, keep that in mind.
Well, you can negotiate it up if you want.
I don't think we're gonna do that.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Dale?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Connie,
Thank you.
for doing that.
Can I ask one more question before we change the subject?
Absolutely.
In talking with employees about next year's budget, if they should take those duties on this year, would there be pay for that?
It's in the budget.
Okay.
Yes, it would,
Okay.
because we have the money budgeted. This could become retroactive, or not retroactive, it could go into place at any time. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have the two most experienced employees here dealing with the tax director's office sitting with us.
Doesn't mean we know a lot.
Yeah, like, I know that office as fast as I could.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not enjoyable.
I didn't say that, I just said that we have the most experienced people.
But the thing, I think what you didn't like is the potential or confrontational nature of some of the feedback.
Well, I can handle that.
Oh, okay.
And as
I
clerk
thought that's
before,
what you didn't like.
I handle that quite often. But I don't like assessing. I don't want to assess somebody's property.
Yeah.
I don't want to go put a value. The two big properties that I had to come up with values was, I think it was Central Plains and something else, and that we hired a professional. I just don't want to assess somebody's property. I don't care about concrete
Those big,
walls. I don't want to assess property.
right.
It's not.
And I agree, those big properties, they're not done, they're not assessed really. You hire a professional appraiser, and that's my argument with these sales ratio studies also. So you don't have enough qualified sales, so then you expect the assessor to be an appraiser, and they're not appraisers. I just don't, that's just not what they are. There's a lengthy process to become an appraiser.
Well, even a level one assessor only has the ability to go up to $500,000. Anything over that has to be done, has to be hired on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's similar to the banking rules.
Mm-hmm.
We can't, I mean, there's a limit to what we can, I think ours is, for residential, is only 250. Then we have to hire,
500 on the level one appraiser for the county.
then we have to hire an appraiser.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Now we wanna talk about county CD?
I don't know, Jamie's the county CD guy.
Connie, made a call yesterday to the bank. They told her that that could not be transferred, that'd have to be cashed out. There's like $186 penalty on it to cash it out.
Oh, really?
Because our county ID number is associated with it. And so it's in our interest to get that off of there.
Yeah, we don't want our CIF number on there.
So,
Okay.
When does it mature?
actually, I didn't realize it's a 5-year one, so it doesn't mature till 2022.
Will they work with us? They can waive the penalty.
We didn't
I mean,
ask
it's
that.
gonna stay there, right?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We can find out from Donna.
What's supposed to happen is, according to the will, is that that any residual is supposed to go into a trust for her, but then she can withdraw money from the trust however she wants.
Right.
She's the trustee.
Right, and she asked that the check be made out directly to her, and as a trustee, I think she can do that since she has the power to do that.
Oh,
So what's gonna be the penalty, $186?
$186.
Just take
Take it and
Take
write her
out
a
the
check.
proceeds of the
Yeah.
CD and send it to her.
yeah, it's her decision.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's easy.
Should we have that in a motion for you guys, just to
Yep.
say the balance of
Better have
that
it.
CD, the county CD sent to her?
So moved.
Been moved by John to cash the county CD that was put in place by the Evers family and issue a check to Donna Evers. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Dale.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Rob. Sean.
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Centennial Memorial, we talked about that. Old courthouse. Well, Jamie, you got some stuff in here? Or who put this stuff? It's not on the agenda, really.
What is it?
Office of the Attorney General.
They mad at us again for something?
It's statistics from the sheriff's office.
That's from the sheriff's office.
Is that just a monthly report thing? Do you know what that is,
Must be
Chad?
an annual.
That was
That's
with
an annual.
Ron's.
It's just a 2015 annual report.
Violent crimes, or the violent crimes.
That's actually a 2-year comparison.
Okay.
I actually, speaking of the Attorney General's office, there is one, we have an angry North Dakota citizen at, I think, both me and Dennis Kabishka, over some VSO stuff. She's made some open records requests and we've answered them to the best of our knowledge and our ability. I don't think she's satisfied and she made the claim that she was going to the Attorney General's office for violation of open records. I don't have any other records to give, and I don't think Dennis has any other records to give, so I don't know what will happen with that, but she's made some open records requests before. I believe, this person keeps on changing their email address, but I believe it's a person that was terminated from Stark County as a VSO, who has been filing lawsuits against the state for wrongful termination. And she's done up in Nelson County too. This person has made open records requests to a bunch of different VSOs, specifically VSOs that hold offices within like the North Dakota Association of VSOs.
Veteran Service.
So she, I don't know, a week and a half ago or something, she wasn't satisfied with the answers that we gave her. So I don't know if she went to the AG's office or not. We haven't heard from them. So it is what it is, but I figured I better warn you guys about it. I guess I have one other thing. I've talked to a couple of commissioners about this, about Paige receiving an increase in salary after her 6 months, which would be at the end of June. The rest of the deputies are $15.50. She's currently getting $13. She has a 4-year college degree and has quite a bit of experience, I think 6 years of experience working as a paralegal in Fargo. And quite frankly, $13 isn't a whole lot of money with a 4-year degree and with that kind of experience. And we're lucky to have her, I think, in Griggs County. So I would ask if there's money in other areas of the budget, not money in the salary portion, but there's that money in other areas of the budget that I know I won't use, so I ask for your permission to do that.
That was just an oversight that didn't get put in the budget, the pay increase.
Didn't have her then.
Yeah, I didn't have her. I didn't have anybody at that point. So that may have been the situation. And it might, I didn't really fight too terribly hard for that money because I didn't know if I was going to have anybody or not.
Sure.
We've done it for all the other ones.
Yep.
I guess I'd move we let Jamie increase his salary for his help at the end of her 6 months.
Been moved by Sean to approve Jamie's request to increase his assistant's salary at the end of this 6 month period, which ends in June. Is there a second to the motion? You're gonna raise her $15.50?
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Dale?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Okay.
Thank you guys.
Anything else, Jamie?
No.
Okay. Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Did we do, I don't think we did everything in the budget.
Yeah, we did. Talked about it.
We didn't go over the,
Ron's proposal.
Yeah.
That's because we don't need to until Connie comes back and gives us her results of her search.
oh. Well, there was more things than that on there.
True.
Okay.
You want to go back to it?
Well, just, I mean, they
I asked you if there's anything else in the budget. Nobody said anything.
I mean, I suppose we should clarify some of that stuff. I mean, this was all just proposals, and it got, everybody kind of got spun up thinking this was something that was going to be mandatory.
No, I know. I mean, the first time I saw it was the first time everybody else saw it.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, it was all just proposals, I understand.
I'll make one, I guess, as far as state's attorney budget for dues be $0. That those dues is that Nelson County pays for half my license, and Griggs County's been paying for half my license. So the majority of those dues, or I shouldn't say majority, a portion of those dues would be for my state bar license. And I think the rest of the dues are for the State's Attorneys Association, which I get CLE hours out of every year to continue maintaining my license.
I along those lines, I don't think we can talk about these things without having the officials here that it affects anyway. So,
No, I thought they were coming.
right. So,
Well, I mean, we're not making a decision here, but no.
no, I know, but we're having a discussion
Yep,
because
we
it
are.
got put in the book and. Like, Connie, since you're here,
Mm-hmm.
travel and dues.
Mm-hmm.
You guys travel for,
For state convention. And of the treasurers, county treasurers. And the dues also are for county treasurers association. I believe it's beneficial. That's where I find out. We also traveled for the Dakota Programs Users Group, which is where I found out that next year my office has to send a notice to every taxpayer on a certain increase. Anyway, it's going to be a fun thing. But anyway, those are where we find out the new laws, especially years after legislative sessions, is what the new laws are and how every other county is implementing them. And sometimes we find out that we should be doing it a simpler way than we thought we should do it, Or sometimes we can tell someone else that they could use a better way to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit on that too. There's 6 items there, I believe, that have to do with travel and dues.
Yep.
And I copied just a few sentences down that I'd like to read. And this is from the Recorder's website, that the Recorders Association also monitors and proposes legislation to better serve the state, taxpayer-funded lobbying. And then on the North Dakota Association of Counties, they mentioned this has been a very busy week of hearings with great participation by the county recorders as well as the auditors and treasurers. And the auditors and treasurers weighed in on property tax caps and value limitations. So if we approve this item, it's, the taxpayers' money is being channeled into lobbying efforts to increase the taxpayers' payments. So I just don't like the idea that
But
these
that's
are
only a
lobbying
portion of it.
But they're still lobbying organizations, and I don't like.
That's not their main concern, though. That's
But-
not the purpose of them.
But they still do the lobbying.
Yeah, they do.
So that's why I would vote against the travel dues for all 6 of these. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's kind of. That same subject we were talking about before. We're trying to make things better for the citizens of Griggs County, but now we want them to spend money to send our representatives out to the state to help the state take money from them.
No, that's not why I go.
No,
the organization.
I know, but the potential for that exists.
That's what bothers me the most, because the state association, the couple of things, the state association, in my best judgment, should get dues from the county that cover everybody, and those dues should be used for educational purposes for the elected officials. But they get county dues, and then they get Treasurers Association dues, and then they get Auditors Association dues, and they get Sheriff's Association dues, and they get the state's attorney's dues, and they're all these dues upon dues upon dues, and then they go lobby the legislature to make the bureaucracy bigger. It just drives me insane.
Again, I think this is for the other department heads to be here on this part of it.
Well, we're not making a decision. And it seems like whether they're here or not, this form seems to eventually get the point across to the other department heads.
The president of the County Commissioners Association called me the first year we didn't pay our dues. Why don't you pay your dues? I said, we pay the county association dues. I don't think there should be dues for every position within the county on top of that. That's not right.
I don't think we should pay the North Dakota Association of Counties dues.
Well, I think we should. I think we should, and I think they shouldn't lobby.
Oh, I know.
I think they should just take care of us,
Yeah.
or take care of the needs of the officials. That's not what they do.
So in principle, you like it, the thought of it. So we can make the caveat that when they quit lobbying, we'll start paying the dues?
Yep.
Okay.
That sounds fine.
I'm good on that.
Same
I
with
agree.
Same with the Treasurers Association and the other. When they quit lobbying, we pay the dues.
But I mean, we'll have this discussion
Yeah.
further.
But I mean, the reason to have it now is to give everybody a chance to then come forward and describe why it's needed. That's all.
But I get that there's changes that get made and that people need further continuing education. I just wish we could separate them. That's my problem.
Yep.
And we used to have separate classes for different things, and then we thought it was more convenient to have them at the same time as our conventions. So now it's all together in one zone.
I guess the one other one I'd like to talk about a little bit is the sheriff's budget and the particular budget for overtime. I don't think that it's possible to, under the current conditions where the deputies are having to cover for vacancies, to cut the overtime. You know, I think that's almost, I think, like it or not, until we resolve the issue and have 3 full-time law enforcement officers here, I don't think we can penalize the deputies for something that's beyond their control.
I agree.
Now, with that said,
Unless something changes between now and the first of the year.
Yeah.
Or
and-
not first of the year, 10th of October, I guess.
Yeah, and, you know, and that's for the current sheriff or the current sheriff or the sheriff at that time to make that point. But right now, we're dependent on that overtime in order to have coverage of law enforcement in Griggs County at certain times here. So I think that was causing some angst in the sheriff's department, so I think that it's good that we can kind of clarify that a little bit. Anything to add on that?
I think it's a necessity. Like you said, until your time frame that you see, you know, what happens down the road.
Okay. What do you see happening down the road?
I don't know.
I'd try. Because that's the only thing I had with the budget. Ron must have probably has more.
You know, I think that of all these items here, yeah, because, you know, on the DES and the emergency 911 coordinator, I guess, I did on the very next page, I put their duties, and it surprised me just how few the duties were. Like, for the emergency management coordinator, you know, they just pre-identify the individuals who will coordinate the activities of the local emergency management, keep current a local disaster or emergency operational plan, and distribute all officials in written form a clear and complete statement, which I think we've already gotten done.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the emergency services communication systems coordinator, there's ensure, provide, maintain, and ensure. You know, it seems like it's not very much to do, especially for the dollars we're paying. And I can't remember the exact dollars, but if it's $10,000 a year, that seems like a lot.
No,
just
it's
to ensure that
75 for the
for the-
DES and 6,000 for the.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah, and it seems like it's a lot. And again, we've always talked about, you know, combining the positions and advertising for it. We've never done it.
With on the theme of keeping everything within the employee group, could those positions be offered to the deputies as a additional item?
Well, it sure seems like it.
I mean, could we offer it to anybody within that would be qualified within the Griggs County employee group and see if they would be interested in that?
And it could be an hourly thing again, because I just don't think it would be very many hours in there for them to do it. But I sure think we could offer it hourly to do. There's 7 items there that as they have to do any of those 7 items, they get an hourly.
In Nelson County, there's one person that's the county superintendent of schools, 911 director, and DES.
What do they do with their time?
How does she split it up, you mean?
Huh?
That's one position between those.
How can that possibly be a position?
It's not a full-time position. Oh, it's a full-time position? Oh, okay. I thought it would be a 4-hour-a-week position.
I'm thinking in Steele County, the DES and the tax director are rolled into one.
Oh, there's another job for you, County.
And then the treasurer's office.
That was a definite shrug. Did you see that?
The treasurer's office closes at noon. That's all.
I know.
I thought we had to lean on
I don't know how
in our way.
Yeah.
But that's true. The treasurer's office only needs 4 hours a day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if her salary changed either when she did that. That would be something to find out.
I thought I saw it was, I don't know what it was. I'll have to do a little investigation.
And then, I mean, the last one, and we just sure don't have to decide today, but just for the COLA increase. And I don't
See you,
even-
Tom.
I'm not even sure what the COLA increase is, if you've looked it up, if it's cost of living loans.
Oh, it's probably up a little bit more than it was last year.
I haven't looked. The Bureau of Labor
I would think
Statistics.
that the energy cost change, it's probably up. It's down quite a bit from last year when it came home.
Anything else on those topics? Well, let's go to new courthouse, old courthouse.
0.3%.
How much?
That's it.
0.3.
That's what, urban?
That's lower than I thought.
That's what the social security, that's the one used by social security.
Oh,
Showed a negative inflation.
I think they use their own though. Old courthouse, new courthouse. See, Brock got the concrete poured out back. I stepped out there when we were on break. We're gonna need to find somebody to do some dirt work, I suppose.
The county. Or, could we have the county haul in people? I mean, that's a big part of it, I guess. And then it just has to be leveled off to some extent. Maybe they can't do that, I don't know.
They'd have to find some place to get black dirt. Does Zeke still sell black dirt?
I think so. I don't know.
That stuff that A&A hauled in here was beach sand. That stuff's not worth a hoot.
It would be kind of hard to take bids because the scope is so darn undefined. You know, you just, I wouldn't know how to define exactly.
I guess I got black dirt last year from Clubbins Excavating, some project that Broden had scraped it up from, so that was nice ground that he hauled out.
In town here?
I think it was all, I don't know where they got it from, I think over Daisy.
Well, Wayne's not gonna be available for a little while. We can talk about it next time.
We hope we can.
He's in Norway.
So the old courthouse, what's the status of that? Are we, I mean, we should do something with the water, the heat, cooling. I mean, if we're not gonna use that thing, we should reduce the risks of a water line breaking. We don't need to cool it, I don't imagine, you know.
I hope we're not.
Need to go through there and turn off all, unplug, turn off all, everything electrical. Reduce the electrical footprint of it. We're gonna probably have to heat it, I imagine. But we should probably drain all the water in it. We'll winterize everything, or have it done.
And have somebody blow out the lines, I suppose, because aren't there a lot of dead ends that
I'm sure there is.
might not drain?
From the bathrooms and stuff, you mean?
Well, and the heating system.
Well, if we're gonna have to heat it, I don't wanna drain
We have
that.
to heat it, I think.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Unless we get some word before
If we're gonna
fall.
heat it, then you're right.
We can't let it
Yeah.
fall down at this point.
But we'll sure drain the water, the water and that kind of thing, we sure do.
And electrical, as long as the breaker's turned off, we're all right, aren't we?
Yeah, we could shut everything down to
We don't
the
need
minimums.
we don't need a public service to come out and
No,
disconnect.
we need, because we'll need to have power in there for
Yeah.
to heat it, but we need, everything else we could sure shut down.
Just make sure the lights are off, you need.
If it's gonna be heated, it could just be gravity drained, I suppose, the water.
Turn off the supply anyway, so if something breaks, we don't have a
Yes,
real big mess.
Maybe we'll go look, turn off the supply and it must
Let
be
me
able to
rethink
open
that.
it up down there somewhere so that it could drain a lot of it. But I don't suppose we're gonna heat it at 60 degrees. I mean, we're probably gonna heat it at 50 or something, huh?
Yeah, it seemed like that would be plenty.
So we're gonna have to winterize everything, cause parts of it will probably get too cold then.
Yeah, I don't know if you can control that heating
I
system
have
to
to
that
say, I think
level.
it's hot or not.
Well, one thing, it doesn't cost nothing comparatively.
I think it only costs about $7,000 a year.
And then another thing we should do sometime, and I don't know who should do it, but you know that all the tax directors' books and files and everything else are still in that office.
Mhm.
And I guess they should go into the storage area behind Kelly, is what we kind of thought. But I don't know if,
I don't think there's any room there.
Oh.
She doesn't have all her records over yet.
Okay, but I
But
don't
there might be
know.
in the hallway storage, I don't know. But we still have to get all our records in there too.
But I don't know if there's anything valuable in the you know, I've looked through that tax
Yeah.
director stuff, there's a lot of junk.
Yeah, there is. There's a
And,
lot of stuff that has to be kept for.
There's a lot of
who
stuff
knows
that has to
why.
be kept, a lot of junk, and I guess that could be a clerical person.
Yeah, well, Sam and I talked about going over and trying to go
Okay,
through it and figure out what we needed.
okay.
We can do that.
And is there still stuff like in the state's attorney's office?
There's still files there as well.
Yeah, so, and there's probably, files all over.
Files in-
Mhm.
We have files that we have to retain that are in the basement too.
Okay, in the basement, and then the recorder's office, and do you still have the treasurer's office?
I still
You
have
got
tax
files?
lists over there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite a, not a mess, I shouldn't say, but.
No,
It's spread out.
Sam
Spread out.
still has files over there too, so.
If you haven't needed them for a year, can't you just go,
I wish. Tax lists you have to keep indefinitely.
digitize them?
That doesn't-
Boy, that'd be, take a long time to scan them in.
Mhm.
I mean, you'd have one person at a scanner for months, probably.
Yeah. And we, we've got, I suppose technically we could get rid of the 86 and on because we did computerize then. If I still have all the, well, if it's a floppy disk, I don't suppose I better get rid of it, but some of that we could get rid of, but
Well, before 86, you should offer to the museum or the Historical Society of Bismarck. really.
I have.
Okay.
They don't want them.
Oh,
But
okay.
but they have to be kept,
Oh, okay.
the tax lists.
Why?
The law, century code says. Don't ask me why.
Wow. But you could digitize them and destroy the
Yes.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see them digitized.
Mhm.
It would-
What's a year's worth of tax records? I mean, is it a stack like this?
No.
Like this?
I would say about like this much.
What's that? What's
That's a
it?
tax list.
What's it? A list?
Is that
That's a paper copy, but right now we don't have to keep the.
There's only
the
2,200
paper
people
copies.
in the county.
Yeah, but there's 5,200 parcels,
Yeah.
and one page holds 6 or 7 parcels.
It'd be the same thing that's in those.
It's,
books.
yeah, it would be that, yeah. It's about the same size as the assessment.
So it's a couple reams of paper a year.
Mhm.
How many individual taxpayers are there in Griggs County?
Oh, God.
Yes, just a guess.
No.
1,400?
Yeah, I was gonna say probably 15, 14, something like that. We send out a little over 1,500 statements, I think, in December.
Be helpful on some of these rants that go on where I could have a number to quote.
I'll find you a number. It might just be off the top of my head, but I'll find you a number.
All right.
Well, for the treasurer stuff, is some of it big papers too?
Yeah, some of those books are
Ledgers?
this thick and they're like this.
And we don't have a scanner for that, do we?
No, I don't think so.
Those are all leather bound yet? And
Well, no, some of them are wrapped in twine.
really?
Mhm. Several years ago, Cindy and I did try to put them in garbage bags and label them, the white garbage bags, and tie them off. just to keep the dust and the
Yeah.
dust mites and all that out of them. So some of them are still in kind of good shape.
And they're all in the vaults down there?
Mm-hmm. They're in the, down and below the recorder's vault,
Yeah.
and they're in one of the jail cells.
Yeah.
And they have to be kept forever also?
Well, yeah, those are the tax lists,
Oh, I see,
because before they were handwritten and they were done on those big.
ledgers.
And we're out of room in the new courthouse?
No, we still have room, and we just have not gotten them over here
Oh,
yet.
but Kelly doesn't have room.
For, yeah, that's what I
She's
understand.
right, yeah, 'cause she had a big storage area.
Well, she had 4 vaults or 3 vaults.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I don't think she's got anything out of that hallway vault.
Hmm.
Most everything is out of her big vault, but I think there's still some things down below it.
Hmm.
But her stuff's all digitized, right? It just isn't, it's not,
Most of it's digitized,
it's just
but
not,
some of them hasn't been proved that was digitized correctly.
It really can't come out of that vault unless it's digitized, correct?
Mm-hmm, that's what I understand.
Because it could be lost.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think they have it all cataloged, do they?
That I don't know.
Or did that digitization company do that?
They,
See,
no,
Mark?
I think they are behind. I think she said they were like a year behind. And we're behind Cass County on the list, and they haven't started Cass County,
Oh,
so it'll be a while.
that's a big thing.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
I think you'd have to ask her for sure.
But once that's done with hers, then those books can go.
Then, so, yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Been moved by Dale to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned at 3:45 PM. The next regular meeting will be June 23rd at 1 PM.